So let's continue with the next system, which is the SoftPEG, which is a kind of a more relaxed version of the HardPEG, but it's still a fixed system. We classify it as fixed. Let me make a graph again. I hope it gets better than the last one. Again, the same thing. This is time, and this is the price. So in the soft peg, it is a little bit different compared to the hard peg, because in the hard peg, the stability was perfect. It never changed, not even 1 cent. But in the soft peg, it's a bit different, because in the soft peg, the government sets like a top and a bottom for the price. It's supposed to be a flat line. It looks even worse. But if the government decides to maintain these top and bottom lines, it allows the exchange rate to move freely in between this. So it can move up and down like this. But I accidentally got it like this. But if there is like the risk that the price is going to drop below or go above those limits, the government is going to intervene, right? The government is going to do something. If it's like this, the government doesn't worry about it. But if it's like this, then the government intervenes. And this is something extremely important. You should take note of this. It is mandatory. It's an obligation. In the soft peg, if the price touches the line, then it's mandatory. It's an obligation that the government will do something. By law, they have to do something. And take a note of that, because that's the main difference between soft peg and managed float. I will explain later. So in the soft peg, we have this thing that is the floating band, is the top and bottom limits. And now let's analyze with the concepts that we already know from before. So stability, what do you think about stability? I will give it more or less, because it's not perfect stability like in here it was just perfect stability, but in here it's not perfect, but you still have the limits, right? So you still know if it's not going to move too much. So we will say that it's more or less, right? More or less. And then in policy independence, do these countries have policy independence if they use SoftPeg? And the answer is no. Why no? And I told you that the key mandatory was important. They don't have policy independence, because if something happens, they are forced to use all of their policies to maintain the price. It's similar to the HARPEC. So imagine that everything is doing well, and then the government says, like, we are going to start a new policy to reduce poverty. So that's cool. We are going to use all the money for poverty. But if something happens and the price touches the line, then they are automatically, they say, we forget about poverty and we focus entirely on maintaining the price, on stability, right? So that's why we conclude that these countries don't have policy independence. And let's continue with free currency flow. What about these countries? Do these countries have um, policy independence? And the answer is no. Why not? Because in a country with a soft peg, the first policy that they use is that they close the market. At the moment that the price touches the line, they close the market. No one can buy or sell exchange currencies, foreign currencies, sorry, for 5 or 10 minutes while they are fixing everything. So if the price touches the line, they close the market, and then they fix whatever they have to fix, put more dollars in the market, increase the rate, whatever they kill someone or whatever, and then they reopen with a new price. So the first thing that they do is to stop free currency flow. And the second reason why they don't have free currency flow is because usually or generally in the countries that use SoftPeg, it is difficult to buy and sell dollars. Why? Because they don't want surprises. So if in these countries, like in the case of China, it is difficult to buy and sell foreign currency. You need to have special permission, and then they give you some limits and blah blah blah, because they need to control it. They need to control it like that. Actually, China used to be a hard peg, but they changed to a soft peg when they became more open and more free to other things. But China used to be hard peg, and then they changed to soft peg. And the advantages and disadvantages, and I'm going to talk a little bit about China. I think during the whole course, I will talk a lot about China, because China is doing crazy things. So there are a lot of things to learn about China. So it's made the first thing about China. The advantages of a fixed system is that, well, it gives you some stability, which is really good. and it has this line, so there is not so much pressure on the government on maintaining that thing. So you have that those limits. And if you are a country like China, when you have so many reserves of dollars that you can buy half of Mexico or more with your reserves, then you don't really care, because if the price goes up, if there is a pressure for the price to go up, you can just give the people dollars. You have so many dollars. I will explain in a few videos how many dollars China has, and it's unbelievable. So if your country has so many reserves as China, then the hard peg it's a good idea, because you can do whatever you want. Another good idea to use a soft peg is when the country has experienced like a lot of variations in the prices. So maybe you had a huge crisis or whatever, and then you want to narrow those differences. This is a good idea. So you can sacrifice some of your policy, and you can kind of put pressure on buyers of exchange rate or foreign currencies, buy, and then you acquire some stability. Like maybe imagine that you just have a huge crisis, like the price of your currency is double, the price of the dollar is double, something like that, something crazy. Then you can say, you know what, we need a soft peg, because we need to narrow that uncertainty, and it doesn't matter if we have to sacrifice independence again. And what is about a disadvantage of this? Of course, the independence that you give up, and also the free currency flow, because free currency flow is really good for investments. Imagine that you are someone who wants to invest in China, and you take a look at this, and you see that there is no free currency flow. It's kind of a bad sign. Actually, it is. It's something that they are still debating. A lot of people, like in Mexico, are kind of scared of investing in China because of this, and it is understandable. It's something that a lot of people feel like it's not a good sign. So it's a sacrifice, it is. So maybe if you don't need this, I don't know, this certainty and stability on the price, it is better to move into something else. So again, just to conclude, I think this system is more for countries that are after a crisis, something like that, or that they are experiencing things on their own economy, and they need to maintain stability by intervention. So it's a good idea. I think generally it's not a good idea. I think that might be a little bit biased, but I think the fixed systems are not generally a good idea. Generally, I think I don't personally trust too much on governments. I don't think they take the best decisions, but it is possible. It depends a lot on the context. If the context calls for a soft peg or a hard peg where intervention is better than nothing, then it's okay. But my feeling is that if everything's stable, if things are okay in the economy, in the country, then I think it's better to move to the floating system. So that's what we're going to learn in the next video. So hope you like this.